According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, the world consumes just over 91 million barrels of oil each and every day. In the United States, we produce about 11 million barrels of oil a day, but at the same time, we consume just over 18.5 million barrels. And while the supply produced in the United States has increased over the past decade, it still falls far short of demand. Dependence on foreign oil supplies is a national security issue, and Houston-based HydroCarb Energy helps alleviate our thirst for that oil by producing it every day in Galveston Bay while exploring other worldwide sources for the so-called liquid gold. HydroCarb's chairman, Kent Watts, makes his second appearance here on New to the Street. Kent, thank you so much for joining us here on New to the Street.
Great to see you again, Ken.
So I want to start, Kent, about asking you to give us the overall picture of HydroCarb Energy.
Well, Ken, we have two major assets. One is Galveston Bay production that produces tremendous cash flow and increasing cash flow. We also have an asset in international asset where we're actually doing exploration in other parts of the world where actually the geoscientists haven't quite got to yet and have the potential. We're looking for elephants out there, so we've kind of covered the bases there.
So Kent, tell the viewers what is going on right now in Galveston Bay.
Well, we have 30 producing wells at this point in time. Basically, we have 20 wells, additional wells we're looking to bring on with our work programs that we're right in the middle of. We're also improving our infrastructure to where we have more sustainable production as we go forward.
Kent, why is Galveston Bay such a good investment for HydroCarb?
Well, Ken, we have 130 wells that have actually been drilled. We're not having to extend the cost to actually drill new wells. So we're going in with oil well maintenance and using all the data that we have, tremendous amount of data we have on the fields to de-risk our investment, and also doing recompletions in wells that already exist. To actually drill these wells would cost a tremendous amount more money. And also we have the infrastructure in place, the production infrastructure, so that when we actually get the wells producing or turn them back on, so to speak, it's hardly any lag time whatsoever. They just start flowing into our production infrastructure and we can start selling it.
Does the Galveston Bay operation give HydroCarb positive cash flow? And if so, how do you plan on using that cash flow to grow HydroCarb?
It does give us really tremendous cash flow, and we're looking to enhance that cash flow going forward. It actually helps us focus on the big opportunities in Africa that we have for major discoveries. Again, when we talked about the difference between a development well versus an exploration well, so we're looking in Africa as a true exploration effort, but that's also where your highest potential return can come. Maybe it's higher risk, but the returns are much greater.
Let's talk about the risks versus the rewards when it comes to Africa. You're familiar with the drilling in the United States, but there are other issues that you have to deal with when it comes to Africa. In your experiences, what are some of the issues that the average person or investor might not know about when it comes to dealing with Africa or other parts of the world?
Geopolitical risk is involved, and that's what you hear about mostly. You look at Nigeria, it produces probably the 13th largest producer of oil and gas in the world, but they have maybe 100 million people, and you hear about all kinds of political issues there. I think they produce 2.5 million barrels a day, something of that nature. Our concession is in Namibia, which has rule of law. Like I say, we have a lot of experience working in Africa, so we have the ability to work in any of these types of countries with the experience that we have. And when we go into a particular country, we adjust accordingly.
So Kent, the future of Africa, what does that equal for the future of HydroCarb if you guys strike liquid gold in that part of the world?
Ken, let's ask the largest petroleum engineering firm in the world that's done an analysis of unrisked resource potential in only 15% of our concession. And they've come up with a 1.1 billion barrel oil in place unrisked resource potential, which translates to about 300 million barrels of recoverable. So I think I always say just do the math on that. This HydroCarb becomes a much larger company overnight. We want to basically take that asset and do the additional exploration work, seismic, interpretation and delineation of drilling targets. And then we'll look to bring on a much larger partner to help us drill for world-class reserves, 1 billion barrels or more.
Staying on that, just a quick follow-up. What do you want the viewers and potential investors to know about yourself and about HydroCarb going forward? Because there are people behind the company.
There's no doubt. I'm all in per se. I've got my whole tremendous amount of investment in this personally. I believe in it, and from every angle. The Galveston Bay asset is very interesting and has a lot of potential. And the African asset is what it is. It's a tremendous potential with regard to where it's located and the geological footprint that it has, and the exploration work that we've been able to do so far has actually progressed it along to the point where we think it's more than interesting.
So Kent, in summary, would it be accurate to say that HydroCarb is positioned today with daily positive cash flow out of Galveston Bay, which allows the company to further explore Africa and possibly beyond? Is that accurate?
And that is a fair assessment, and so we see basically that we're increasing our revenues and look hopefully in the near future to enhance that on an ongoing basis with some additional opportunities. Perhaps for exploration in Galveston Bay, but also the prospect of making a discovery in Africa gives our shareholders the potential for major upside multiples on their investment.
Sounds like there's good people behind HydroCarb and the company's got a real good future.
I agree.
Well, thanks so much for being here, and promise us you'll come back with further updates.
For sure. I look forward to that.
If you want to learn more about HydroCarb Energy, just visit hydrocarb.com. We'll be right back.